Hello, I'm Lauren Green, and you're in the strategy room. Donald Trump is slamming the Republican nomination process as it looks more and more likely the candidates are heading to a contested GOP convention. Take a look.
This is a crooked system, folks. I've won twice as much as Cruz. I've won millions and millions of votes more. People that have never voted are coming out to vote for Trump. We've got a corrupt system. It's not right. We're supposed to be a democracy. We're supposed to be, you vote, and the vote means something. Whether it's me or whether it's Bernie Sanders, when I look at it and I see all these victories that I have, all these victories that he's got, and then you look at the establishment, and I want to tell you, it's a corrupt deal going on in this country, and it's not good.
All right, joining me now with reaction are Democratic strategist Jessica Tarlov and Republican strategist Brian Morgenstern. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Brian, I want to get your take first, not because I don't think ladies are first, but I mean because I want to get the Republican kind of viewpoint on Trump's tirade there. I mean, is the system corrupt, or is he just crying foul, and is he a spoiled brat?
It's sour grapes because he hasn't won a number of the delegates that aren't allocated just through an election process. And, you know, this just kind of shows that he's not necessarily prepared like a candidate like Cruz is, who has delegate wranglers and has had them for months. I will say it's sour grapes. It's also perfectly on brand for Trump, and he's able to pivot from an obvious loss to blame it on the big bad politicians and the establishment, and his supporters eat it up, and so I would expect nothing less.
And you know, and Jessica, his new convention manager, Paul Manafort, he accused them, Cruz of like Gestapo tactics.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's totally on brand for him too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been doing that for decades. I think it was a brilliant move pulling him in. Now that you have Roger Stone and Paul Manafort there, I mean, you have the political Gestapo essentially working for you. So I think it was very smart of him. But Brian's completely correct. It's totally on brand. And that's what makes sense to his voters, saying, because, you know, we're a one man, one woman, one vote country.
Right,
and that's the way the democracy is supposed to work. We also have this whole delegate system, which in certain moments I do feel like this doesn't make a lot of sense. Him linking himself to Bernie Sanders, though, I think is very interesting, and it's totally wrong also.
But he should have known the process. I mean, this is
well, the best was, we talked about this before we started, the Cruz campaign, they released a statement that said the rules were available to anyone who can read and understand words.
Yeah.
You know, the Trump campaign just does what it wants, and then it cries foul, exactly. You know, we found out today that his own children aren't registered to vote. They can't vote for him because they missed the deadline in the New York primary. You know, someone should have checked that out for sure, that there could be a photo op of Ivanka, you know, voting for him. You know, they're not prepared, and Cruz may very well run away with this because of organization, not because he's preferred. I mean, the guy is ideologically polarizing on every single level, but his ground game is phenomenal, and they can read and understand words.
Now, I want to get the, there's been a chatter about some other options out there. One is House Speaker Paul Ryan, and this Marine General James Mattis, who I've not really heard of too much until this last few days. And I want to get both your takes on those two candidates. And and Brian, why don't you start with Paul Ryan? What is with Paul Ryan? Do you think he's going to run?
No, I don't, because I think that, I mean, based on Cruz's organization, I think either he is going to be able to wrap up a nomination in a second or third ballot, or Trump is going to see that pressure and figure out a way to make enough deals to get the nomination on the first ballot. I don't think it's going to go to a dark horse candidate, but, you know, this is the kind of the fantasy of a lot of establishment types because of the way Ryan was drafted to become the speaker, which was a very well, you know, orchestrated, reluctant leader being pulled in as the only guy who can unite this fractured House party. And so they're like, whoa, if we did it once, you know, let's try it again. But I think just in terms of delegate math, it's just not going to work.
But Jessica, he can say all day long that he's not going to be, he doesn't want to be drafted into.
Right.
But you know, the
Wisconsin primary,
he's not in Wisconsin. He's in the Middle East. I mean, he could have been there. You know.
I don't think he wants it. I think he was telling the truth. He also knows he's young. And, you know, in 4 years from now, if it's a Hillary Clinton presidency or if it's a GOP presidency, I think we're going to be looking at another really tough battle in 2020. And maybe that's his time. You know, this is a guy who he prioritizes his family, and we know that the 2012 race, when he was the VP pick, really took a toll on them. His wife did not like it. They were schlepping the kids around everywhere. You know, he might just be saying, hey, I just got this new job, and I really put a lot of people through a lot. You know, to get it and to get it on my terms, that I have to be able to go home on the weekends. You know, he was very clear about that, family first. And I think it would seem kind of disingenuous if they said, oh, you know, I've been here a few months, like I signed that big spending bill that you all hate, and now I'm going to bop over to be the candidate for president. You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think the dark horse thing, it's not going to happen. If you want an establishment candidate, a real one, I think you have to go with John Kasich out of that bunch. I think it has to be someone who's already run.
Why are we floating this trial balloon, Brian, of this General James Mattis? What is this about?
Well, again, this campaign being as weird as it is, there is a realistic possibility of a third-party candidate running, I think, you know, a true conservative or whatever, you know, someone like a Tom Coburn or like a Marine general who could focus their attention, just play out the game as long as it's being floated there. They would focus their attention on a few states that would be, you know, purple, where people are not necessarily ideologically on either end of the spectrum, where they could pick off a couple of states to keep the two major parties' nominees below the 270 needed to win the Electoral College vote, which would then, under the Constitution, throw the election to the House, where every state...
Which is super fair. Really democratic idea.
Trump was right. It's not a democracy anymore. All right, I want to thank you so much, Jessica and Brian, for being here. And for more complete coverage of the 2016 race, go to foxnews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.